Learning to love again. So in the last episode, we were covering how to receive love post the experience of infidelity and the unworthiness that you feel of receiving love. I'm going to ask you some questions first, Luke.
Okay.
What's the hardest part about receiving love now?
So now as in post
as in a
betrayal.
Decade later, because honestly, I think that you and I sharing what it's like a decade later is really helpful for listeners.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can pretend to do it a decade later. It's not a decade since. But,
oh, shit. When was it?
Nearly 6 years ago. About six.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Tell me.
I don't know. I don't think it's changed. The question is receiving love, yeah? Is that the question?
Yeah. So like, how has your capacity to receive love changed over the years?
Okay. Over the years. So I think this is more a life question rather than a specific betrayal related for me. I think I've just gradually over the years, my capacity to receive love has increased, mainly because I realized that I was never really receiving it in the way that maybe I thought I was. What I mean is, I thought that to receive love, someone had to give love. Like they had to actually express it in a really obvious way of which I could then interpret in my own way as love. And
like you could measure it against
almost like it's something that you could take from one person. You could physically take it from one person and then impart it or place it in the other person in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's those sayings, I think I've shared it before on here, that I used to think that like my partner completed me. Like that would be a saying. I remember I would say that and I would think that and I would believe it in my certainly in my early 20s. I don't think of it that way at all anymore. And it's interesting. So now I think of receiving love is really just about my capacity to feel love. It's pretty much the same as the way in which I give love. I'm not entirely sure I even see them differently anymore. I feel that I am the only person experiencing the love, whether it be received or given. I'm the only one with the emotion. Nobody else has it. Nobody else can take it or give it.
So you feel like you experience love, you don't give or take.
Yeah. I feel like I experience love. So that would be the shift. Whereas I did think at one point in time, it was more transactional. And it was and transactional in this, not just in the context of giving and receiving, but also there was like I'm not sure competitive is quite the right word, but like a deposit account, like an investment account, which was the relationship for which both parties had to invest in. And then you could go along and you could check the balance of the account. It's like, oh yeah, okay, there's enough love here at the minute.
Yeah, we have all of these. We have all of this evidence.
Yes, I can move on with my day now because she's been putting enough love in and I've been putting enough love in, so we're okay. And I think I did see it that way, almost like this, like a third entity that was the relationship. I don't see it that way anymore.
You don't? How do you see it now?
Now I see it like there's me and there is her, or just the other person, whoever it is. Obviously, love applies to many different people, not just romantic. And I experience love. I experience the feeling of love. And I base that really on the quality of the meaning that I give to individual situations and experiences, to the way I think about it, the interpretations, my beliefs. They all go to generate what I actually feel, like the physical vibration in my body, the tingling, the lightness, the warmth. That I can even feel like just saying, I felt like a very slight flush in my cheeks, just like really subtle. It's so mine. It's nobody else's. It's not for anybody else. It's for me. I love it. I'll live it. And I can love it. I've said it before. I can love you and there's F all you can do about it. That is the point, my experience. So and when I think about a relationship, well, my relationship with everybody, my relationship with you, my relationship with Anne-Marie, they're just my thoughts, my interpretations, my beliefs about you, about the relationship. It's not this external thing. I have full control over it. You don't even have to like me for me to...
You think you have full control over it?
Yeah. well as much as a human being can have control. I mean, obviously that's an illusion in itself, but given that we go through life believing we have control, like more, at least a lot of us do, we don't. But I'm prepared to like acknowledge that it feels like we do.
It does. Yeah. We'd like to think we're in complete control.
And I'm aware of the illusion,
really do think,
but I'm okay with it.
Anne-Marie.
I was going to say, and what about you, Chelsea?
Oh, and what about me?
Yeah.
The hardest about being loved. Actually, I feel like this question is actually, how has your capacity to receive love changed? And I would be the same as Luke. I think mine hasn't stayed the same. It's gotten larger because I think in the window of time, and when I talk about like love and stuff like this, I'm not talking about just the one relationship that everyone wants to focus on, which is the relationship that I have with my husband. But really, I think about my capacity to receive love has become greater because the perception of myself has become more accurate. And that's been with a lot of intentional thought and not succumbing to the passive thoughts. I also think that I completely agree with Luke as far as love being an experience. I remember writing in the community earlier this week to one of the betrayed wives there. And she had said we were going back and forth over whether love was a feeling or if it was an experience. And I had told her one of the ways that my perception of love has changed is that it's not a feeling. It's actually the experience that any person can have, whether that's an individual experience or a collective experience with other people. And I told her, I was like, look at this community. This is a demonstration of the inertia of love, meeting you where you are and being able to take the sting out of it, be able to brighten up the experience that you're having. I think that my capacity of understanding love has changed dramatically over the last 10 years.
I like the way that you talk about love. Like, I'm not sure I see it quite the same way, but it's like listening to the way you verbalize it is like intriguing to me, I suppose. I think
we're saying the same thing in different ways.
No,
though,
we are.
Luke.
Yeah, no, I agree. And because I think of love rather than being like an emotion, like a definitive emotion. I don't think it's one that stands alone. I think it is one that is like you can open the front door to love, and then inside there is lots and lots of different rooms. There are lots and lots of different things, and each one represents a different aspect or a different love.
You had touched on the whole control thing. And of course I came in there and was like, duh, right? But we do control where our attention goes and then where it flows. And I think that when your attention is on a specific experience you're having and you're developing inside of your thought process that the experience you're having is because of this other person and you completely discount yourself out, that's where
it's a little bit like having, I think about a bit like an emotional cup. It's like my own emotional cup of love for myself is well filled, where I'm not dependent on another person to fill my emotional cup of love. Like that's on me completely. And if somebody gives me a bit extra, then great, or even gives not the right word, but if they express love or gratitude for me, then I get to take that and own that as well. It's all mine. I just think it's, why wouldn't you want to feel love? Like of all the feelings towards another person, love is obviously the best one. Like there's just
also
no
a basic human need.
Yeah, it amazes me sometimes that, and obviously I understand that we can be hurt and we can be betrayed and we can get angry and frustrated and many other emotions that don't feel nice. We don't like those. But if I was given a choice towards any other human being and I was to pick an emotion or pick a feeling, a sensation, experience, whatever you want to call it, what do I want? Then love would be my default always. And I think it just helps you see people in a better light. Not everybody is inherently good. Some people do continually do consistent bad behaviors that really challenge the idea. But, even then, it's well, what got them to that place? What made them think that was the most appropriate form of action? Maybe it was their upbringing. Maybe it was genetics. Maybe it was, who knows? There's like a whole combination of things. It's just so easy to judge somebody on a behavior rather than them as a whole, as a human.
Yep. Well, I mean, you just demonstrated the whole leading with curiosity instead of judgment. With that whole pursuit, the act of love is also, or the experience of love is dependent on you being sincerely curious and with the desire to lack judgment. So anyways, yeah, I think that my capacity of my perception of love has changed now.
Last week, what we really focused on was grieving the affair relationship as well as the marriage, and then starting to process that trauma. And we touched on the fear of loving again and the fear of accepting love again. And this week's episode, I wanted to dive more into relearning to trust and relearning to trust ourselves and how that branches into relearning to trust others.
Okay. Relearning to trust ourselves, relearning to trust others after the experience of broken trust.
Something that I was very curious about was, how would you define, what does healthy love look like to you now?
I mean, does love look? I don't know, dude. Experience of love?
Yeah, what does a healthy experience of love feel like? I
mean, can you reduce an experience to just one feeling though, or one like emotion?
Probably not.
Truly. Okay, great. Because I didn't have a good answer for that. Because I was like, wait, what?
There's more to it.
There's so much more to it.
There's so much more to it.
Well, I would say that when I think about it, it's like the health of self. Like your self-love is at like the crux of the love that you can share with somebody else.
Well, yeah, we do have to explain that. So the only love you're capable of giving is the love that you're giving to yourself. So if the love that you're giving to yourself is fucking toxic as fuck, and I'm talking about starting inside of your head, people, then that is going to be the level of love that you can extend to others.
And I was going to say that I feel like after infidelity strikes, there's so much noise that gets created in your head that is so negative.
I mean, who's subjecting themselves to the noise though? Why are you going to listen to shit that doesn't actually help or promote your well-being?
Because you can't outlogic emotion.
Before we came along, there wasn't anybody telling us that there was
that's
other
true.
ways to look at it.
Yeah, you can't outlogic the emotion. That's the problem. We default to want to try and solve the problem. We default to want to try and fix it and get away from the situation. And yet, what our lived experience is very different to that. It's a bit like that. I've never met anybody who has been betrayed, let's say, who thought that they would do anything other than kick their partner out if they were betrayed. Everybody thinks that.
That's what that really was their initial thought. If I ever get paid,
it's overwhelming. I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to be treated. I'm not going to have my boundaries crossed that way, and all the manner of things. And I understand it. Yeah. And then, of course, when it comes to the experience, which inevitably it does happen to a lot of people, all of a sudden, it's very different because there's a lot more involved. There's a lot more intertwined. It's not as straightforward. It's not binary. It's not black and white. So you get this real cognitive dissonance, this inner conflict where part of your narrative is saying that you should or you thought you would have done a particular thing, i.e. leave or kick them out. And yet your inner emotional experience is, I'm not ready for that.
Actually love the person.
Yes, exactly. It causes insane level of internal conflict. And you can logic our way through it all day long, or try to. It's like with the people I work with, we talk a lot about the relationship between our thinking and our feeling, and how we are ultimately responsible for our own experience. We are the only ones that can have any influence on that. We can't rely on another person to change their behavior or the way that they show up for us to feel better. Because if we do, we're just a people pleaser. We're just allowing the other person to dictate our experience, which gives us no control.
Or you're a manipulator.
Yeah, a manipulator. Well, people pleaser, liar, manipulator, whatever you want to call it. Ultimately, you're not being authentic. Yeah. You are wearing a mask.
You're being inauthentic. We used all the shitty labels. Sorry, guys. You're none of those things. You're just inauthentic.
Just inauthentic.
And we're going to help you get to the authentic place.
And it's interesting because it's even, again, the way that different people hear messages. I was just doing a Facebook Live not long before this call, and I was going through some of the books that I read and have read that I found really useful in my journey. And then none of them are infidelity related, like not one of them. And I think what's really I think what's really interesting is that the thing that I really get from them is that they all offer a different perspective of the same thing. Like I can look at every individual situation within my life, whether that be the betrayal or any other challenge that I've been through, and look at it through the lens of this particular filter, this perspective, and I see something different every single time. And I just gradually expand my capacity to understand the environment. However, that's through a lot of time and effort doing that. If someone comes up to you and says, well, why don't you just change the way you're thinking? If you feel so terrible, just change the way you're thinking. Yeah, nice try. It's not quite as simple as that because it's not believable. So we need to be, no, we don't need to be. It can be helpful to be more patient with our experience, so that we truly drop into our bodies and we pay attention to what they're saying and what they're doing and what it wants, and giving it the space to express and to exist, and to feel, to truly feel, like feel really hard, like intentionally, like you're giving it.
Anne-Marie, is he getting into the somatic stuff?
Pretty much,
I think he just did. Are you our new somatic expert?
I mean, in a way.
I'm all manner of experts, Chelsea.
I'm kidding. I love it.
What I was hearing is that a healthy love is one where you're present and where you're showing up authentically. Mm-hmm. And that's what I heard in that.
I do like the things that Anne-Marie hears, I have to say. I think she's
really good at putting it together.
You do make sense of the things that even are chaotic in my own mind. No, I don't even think that chaotic.
You know what we do? Okay, so you and I make pizzas that are very elaborate. They've got a lot of condiments on them. And then Anne-Marie's, here's a flatbread, guys. And then everyone's, let's snack on that.
Anne-Marie is not as plain as a flatbread.
I make it menu size.
Yes. Bite-sized.
Bite-sized, yeah. Concise is not one of my strong points.
Me neither.
I think that's why I've always struggled with short form.
I'm not concise. But when I'm interpreting, I can take in all of the information and report back. With something a little
You're
cleaner.
still in that hyper vigilant state. That's why.
Yeah, it's exactly. My somatics haven't been going so well this month.
This is going to take some editing.
No, it's not.
Oh no, you can leave all my stuff in. I don't mind.
People get to know you like that, and then they start to like you, and then they start to trust you. Okay. What's another question you want to throw at us? You were way better at prompting us.
I don't need more questions.
No, Anne was good at it.
I feel like I'm not looking at the right thing because I can't find any of the things that you're looking at.
Well, she contextualized it really quickly for us, and that made a whole bunch of sense. I'm texting it to you now, Luke.
Okay.
Something that we touched on in the last episode, but that I felt like we could dig into one more time, is having the discussion around self-sabotage that kind of follows after an affair, which is like...
Does it happen on both sides?
So yeah, I think so. The push-pull dynamic of craving connection, but fearing vulnerability.
Luke?
Craving
Does that happen on both sides? Self-sabotage.
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
yeah, definitely.
I definitely would say so.
God, I wonder if experiences are contagious.
Yes, I think that's true. I mean, that is interesting. I think we spoke, or maybe I sent you a message, I can't remember, regarding hysterical bonding. And I know that had come up in a conversation in the community recently. And
that sounds scary.
Yeah, it sounds like a terrifying label. And essentially, it's just when we've been through something difficult and we fear loss, particularly if we fear a sense of loss. So it's very common for the betrayed spouse to really kind of almost like love bomb. It's not love bombing, but it can come across that way. So there's lots of intimacy, there's lots of closeness, it's very intense. All of the negative emotions get get temporarily pushed to one side. You distract yourself with pleasure and excitement and joy, but it's short-lived and it's not authentic and it's just masking the problem. It's buffering. So instead of going to the pub or the bar and getting drunk, or instead of consuming porn, or instead of eating junk food or spending a ton of money, or it's just
instead
another
of feeling
way.
your feelings.
Instead of feeling your feelings. Instead of feeling your feelings, you're just doing everything you can to avoid them, to keep away from them. And the problem is it creates a real, well, we've spoken about authenticity. It creates a really inauthentic environment for both you and your partner, where nobody really knows what's going on. It's like at this moment, it's almost like you're trying to relive the honeymoon period, but it's really intense.
Yeah.
And it often happens after traumatic experiences. And now it can be really useful. Like it can be really, if you're mindful of the experience, it can be an incredibly good way of being able to have a foundation to reconnect, if that's the goal.
Luke is going to opine on traumatic experiences and traumatic responses, but not today.
Fine.
But one day.
If you are the other woman in your relationship and you love this podcast, you would love the Other Women community. The Other Women community is a membership program designed to help other women just like you reclaim their relationship with themselves and heal from their affair. We provide a safe and supportive environment for you to open up and talk about your experiences. We give you the tools and resources you need to grow into an authentic, empowered individual. If you're ready to take the next step in your healing journey, head on over to theotherwomanandthewife.com/community to learn more about the membership and all it has to offer.
I remember looking at that post and seeing my experience in it. And because mine was stretched over a decade, that short-lived experience, like, of that love bombing phase, of that, like, it left me in like a cognitive dissonance that was like lasted years, because all of a sudden it just slowly faded out. And I was like, when did it stop? When did it start? What was real? What wasn't? And I didn't have the terminology that like we have within the community. So when I hear people come out with this terminology, I'm like, hey, I did experience that. I didn't know what it was at the time. But when I was reflecting on that post, I do remember it. And I was like, yeah, that definitely.
It's interesting. I think I would have been a victim to that, but I didn't get the opportunity.
Oh.
Because the relationship came to a halt. So there was no opportunity to have that moment of hysterical bonding. And I found labels and boxes and all the things and fine.
Okay.
But in terms of even Anne-Marie's described, like, it's a way of making sense of a situation that didn't make sense before. And sometimes those things can be helpful.
I just want to clarify one thing. I am a fan of labels that help with understanding. No, because someone did this to me on Jubilee too. So
really?
This is a traumatic response, Luke. In the flesh. I like labels when they help us understand things. When we have labels like hysterical bonding, okay, hysteria is something that I would be fearful of. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have the emotion already baked into the label that people then look at. I'm always looking from the lens of infidelity content being ineffective at doing what it says it's going to do. And whenever I think of, okay, like now we have this term hysterical bonding circling around in the community, I love the way that Anne-Marie is able to neutralize the information that she's ingesting. She's, oh, I did experience that. Oh, that's the word that goes with that. Oh, that's why that emotion fit there, right? But like whenever I see those labels, I'm like, get out of here. It just seems, to me, it seems like...
Who are you trying to protect?
Myself all the time and everybody else. I know. It's not possible. I know it's not possible. This is logic and heart at play.
Exactly.
Luke.
There you go.
They're swimming together.
Well, they're not. They are in conflict. That's the point, because your narrative is that's not okay to exist. So therefore, it is being heart led. It doesn't feel safe to you, and that's okay.
It doesn't feel safe. I mean, think about Okay, I think that based on this business alone, we can almost come to a very solid conclusion that the stats are fucked, which we all had a hunch on
of course.
in the beginning, because it was like you're asking for honest and accurate reporting over a dishonest situation. Yep. And with this whole venture, I've just like wanted to prove that like the approach was all wrong. And you're talking to the wrong people and you're talking to them the wrong way. Let me do it this way. And so, yeah, whenever I see terms like hysterical bonding, I'm like, oh, Christ.
And I think when we see it as we're scrolling, like that's a term I would have jumped across. I would have heard hysterical bonding and I would have skipped it. But because of it was in the forum and it was being discussed and it had some logic behind it and things I could read. It wasn't like somebody just being like, hysterical bonding is this thing. And I was like, I don't want to. But as a woman, I also feel like hysteria. And I hear that. And I'm automatically like,
Yeah, I'm like, oh, here we go again. Another man calling a woman hysterical. How original. You know?
I love this.
You do? Are you getting insight?
I do. Only because I think there's just as much, we can be drawn towards something or we can be drawn against or away from something. And both of them are just as bad. Both of them are just as bad. We're both
there is I let the label exist in the community.
I know. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
And of course, if I'm going to communicate anything, I do like to just back up what I'm communicating as well in a fair and honest way. But that's not really the point. I think there's, for example, if there's a belief that exists that all pre-existing infidelity content is flawed, then you close off to the possibility that some of it might not be. And that, for me, is a weakness, as a perception. In terms of that would be for me.
I don't think it's flawed. I think it's presented poorly.
Okay. Right? That's a good.
There was valid information that existed on the internet that Anne-Marie scrolled by because it has the label hysterical in it, which I already knew was like, don't call these people hysterical, you dummies. You're not dummies. You just don't have the lived experience. Sorry. But that's what I mean. Like, it's not so hard and fast inside of my head, which I mean, fast, yes, but lots of blurred lines, I guess, where I'm like, no, it's not so rigid.
Yeah. Like, I suppose, okay, I'll take back a little bit of my judgment against you.
Thank you so much.
I know, there you go. I bet you feel a lot better now.
Oh, I feel so much lighter now. It's great.
I'm not responsible for your feelings. However,
I'll get you that merch.
Yeah. Obviously, you can understand why certain things are more difficult to swallow from a certain perspective. I mean, we could argue that me as a betrayed spouse could consider 90% of your content difficult to swallow.
No.
But it doesn't mean that it's not valid or valuable. It doesn't mean that it's not coming from a really unique perspective and place.
How often do you subject yourself to my content?
Not that much. There's been moments and I've got, oh my God, now I'm kidding.
I am a big fan of yours. I give you all my attention with reactions like that.
There have been moments where I've had to just take a moment. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But
so you do not subject yourself to it often?
No.
I'm so proud of you. Yeah. I am so proud of you right now, Luke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you go get yourself a freaking medal that says, Chelsea has identified me as sane.
I'll wear that level with honor.
I'm going to get you a gold medal, dude. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that.
I can't believe you thought. Okay. What did you think I did? Do you think that was what helped me go to sleep at night?
Dude. Well, think about how much I get critiqued on the daily for my content existing.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And not that I would assume that you're a person who wants to look to critique me, because I know you're not that. But it's easy. If you want to find something to critique me on, it's available. Sure.
That's true for everybody, to be fair. But yeah, I can understand that, particularly in the niche, in the area that.
But you are not looking for ways to impact the world by critiquing other people. Like that's not your
That's
jam.
that's exactly why I bring my books. It's all about how many different ways can we look at this thing. What are all we could give 100 people the same situation and let them all witness the same situation, and then go send them away and ask them all to write a little story, a short story about their experience. You'd get 100 different stories.
Yeah. I love the way the world works. Oh, it's great. Okay.
Sorry,
Keep us
Anne-Marie,
back
I feel
on
like
track,
we're being chaotic. I think we're being chaotic.
All right. So as we head into kind of wrapping this episode up and rebuilding trust and learning to love again, would you say that the pain of the infidelity deepened your capacity for authentic connection?
I don't think that authentic connection is dependent on pain.
No, I think pain is inevitable with an affair. There's going to be a certain level of pain that's experienced.
Oh, I think that pain is required for an authentic existence of an individual. I don't know about how do you measure authentic connection inside of a relationship that is not your own? You actually can't.
No.
That's the thing where I'm like, even getting a sense of whether somebody else's relationship had authentic connection in it is ridiculous.
I think for me, when I think about a future relationship and re-engaging in a future relationship, an authentic connection is one where I'm not afraid to show up as myself, because of my experience was like second guessing my own intuition, because if I didn't even feel safe or comfortable to go to my spouse and be like, hey, I think I changed my mind on this, because of it would not be well received.
When you have a thought and you for sure cannot share it with your partner, can you show up as your authentic self in your own life?
I think so.
It depends whether.
And if you can't show up authentically in your own life, though, you can't really show up authentically inside of a relationship.
That was a big realization for me.
Oh, sorry.
That one took a while. I mean, that one took a while over time. It was so early on that I started having abrasive reactions to certain things that was just me like coming in and being my like authentic self, and then it wasn't well received. And I was like, oh, I guess that's not okay.
No.
It's a willingness to be vulnerable.
Okay, so let's talk about vulnerability then for a second, because a lot of people will assume a self-expression without consideration of how it impacts somebody else would be being vulnerable. But if you're doing it with, I don't know, a certain leading emotion, right? Then aren't you just not taking responsibility for leading with kindness?
I think I dropped on the word authentic because so many experiences that we read and that we see are people living double lives for years. So you spend years not living authentically within one relationship or the other or both. I think finding authenticity after that experience is...
Well, because it's all of a sudden it's a part of your practice, right? So being able to maintain two different narratives of who you are for over a decade or whatever it is, how long it's been a part of your practice. Yeah, of course, that's going to be hard to break free of. But like also realizing the only narrative you're responsible for is the one that you have inside of your head. I think you're trying to keep everybody else's narrative straight. And that kind of hustle isn't going to get you great places. But if you only have one narrative and it's the one inside of your own head, you don't have to worry about whether you can have authentic connections inside of relationships because you have shown up authentically in your own life. There's only one narrative that you have to keep straight.
For me, is there's expectations and then there's values. These two separate components, if you like. So there's that how I think I should be, i.e. whether it's the trying to control the narrative, trying to influence other people, trying to you've got like this set of rules, this set of guidelines that have come from somewhere that of how you should show up in a relationship or how you should deal with a particular situation. And then you've got your values, your internal compass of who you are as an individual and who you'd like to be as an individual. And it's a journey just to discover what they even are. And they change over time as well. Like your values might not always be the same. You could look 10 years down the line or even a year down the line, and some of what was really important to you a year ago might have changed a little bit now. But if the decisions that you make are in line with who you want to be as a person, then regardless of the potential fallout of the decisions that you make, you can live authentically within your own peace, in your own mind, in your own sense of safety. So even if that includes not sharing a thought or something with somebody, if that particular choice was in line with who you want to be as a person, then it hasn't broken that rule. We get stuck behind all of these rules. We get stuck behind all of these expectations that we set ourselves. It's something I describe as the manual. It's like we all have an instruction book about how other people should behave, how our partner should show up. And of course, every time they don't show up that way, we get angry, upset, whatever. But we wrote the book. They probably haven't even seen the book, and we haven't communicated it with them. And even if we had, why the hell should they do what we say?
Or even the rule book was written in a different era.
Yeah. It just wasn't even written by you at all. It was just adopted.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
The rule I feel like that you revealed is that the expectation of the betrayed is to kick out or just dump the person that they love because of the infidelity. And then when you intrinsically don't align with it and you have the expectations, right, that you're supposed to just turn it off, and it doesn't happen, or it's not an easy process to make it happen, then you're just bucking up against the rule book inside of your own self.
There is one expectation that I see all the time, and this doesn't matter.
Be a victim.
Be a victim. No, the expectation is definitely not be a victim. No one expects. Although people do find themselves in that place, there's no doubt about it. However, no, I think the number one, if I was going to rank a list of Luke's top post-infidelity expectations, is I should be feeling better than I am right now.
I mean, I feel like that's always like anytime you're experiencing aloneness, it's the lack of validation that it feels awful is ever present. And that's when you start to realize that, oh my God, I'm looking outside of myself for validation. What is internal validation? How do I get through this?
It amazes me how many people come. It amazes me how many people come to me and who are familiar with specific timelines of how long it should take to heal from an affair. It's 2 years, it's 3 years. It's some definitive thing. I'm thinking
they're looking. Those people are looking for a hopeful measurement of time to know that their pain will ease soon.
And
so again, it's inside of your head. Yeah, and control, definitely.
Yeah.
And I feel like you see that with grief a lot. And there's so much grief entwined that it would make sense that you get sick of grieving one thing or another at random all of the time. Yeah. And you start looking for, everyone said it would get better when I got that piece of paper signed.
Yeah. The whole grief process, like wanting something in the future to look forward to, knowing that it will end. When I do think that there are things that you can do about it other than wait.
And something that I wanted to leave the listeners on was basically around the idea of that going through it is harder in the moment, but you reap the rewards on the other side. I feel like people spend a lot of time in the in-between of not wanting to confront it. But I want listeners to end on the idea that like it's worth it and why it's worth it. So what did you
it's totally worth it
from going through
experience
the other side?
So like the whole thing, you're only as sick as your secrets. And it's not about secrets that you're keeping from other people. It's about secrets that you're keeping from yourself. So when I think back to when the world shattered in the great day of 2000 and whatever fucking 13, I think it was just like the capacity to know that who I was in those moments wasn't going to be who I was forever. And that there was a lot more for me if I did look back at my value system and determine what I wanted to experience in life, that I could apply that forward. I could really create the experience that I wanted to have rather than pretending that I wanted an experience that didn't feel good. And for me, it was the traditional approach to everything in life. It was everything that I had been handed rather than looking around and being like, what do I actually want to experience in life? And then seizing the opportunities that came my way to do exactly that. And that path happened to run parallel to the man that I had an affair with. It's all kind of besides the point. It's a radical change to doing your life differently, and it feels really good. I think that it allows you to be in charge of your own experience, which you should be. Life is a gift, right? That's what you could get from it.
I don't feel like I'm obviously coming at it from quite the same perspective, but discomfort is the price of growth. And I feel like I've been through lots of difficult things in my life. And every time I've got on the ride, so to speak, and I've embraced that discomfort, there's been so much come out of it that I would have never been able to predict. And I like that. I kind of relinquishing a sense of control actually has given me more control, or at least perception of. And it's changed my life in so many ways, so many times, that I've built up a confidence within myself to know that just by dealing with the hard stuff, whatever it is, it doesn't last. The more I want it to end, the longer it lasts. Ultimately, what do I get on the other side? What do you get on the other side of discomfort? You get fulfillment. You get a deep sense of satisfaction. You get a sense of meaning and purpose. And you also get a sense of belonging, but not in a belonging in terms of I belong in a family or I belong in a group. It's like a sense of belonging within yourself. It's like you feel like you should be where you are. You feel like you should be who you are. And I like it.
Yeah. What do you think, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, I would say as someone who's in it at the moment, clarity is what I've been able to gain. Is instead of avoiding my own desires and wants and needs and putting them forward and being real loud about it, it's given me a lot of clarity on what I want. And reaching for that has only become easier and easier as the discomfort grows. Because as I'm more uncomfortable, the more I know what I want.
Oh, man. Yeah, you went through some uncomfortable times.
You don't
But
say.
also really comfortable times, too.
There's moments. We're getting there.
Yeah.
High highs, low lows.
Totally. The radical experience of experiencing real life. High highs and low lows. Anne-Marie is moving on up in the company. And we are doing something to demonstrate our gratitude to everybody who has responded to her work on this podcast. She's done an amazing job at making sure that this episode gets released on a weekly basis, that she herds the cat. That's me. And she's been making this whole thing happen for you guys as the company is growing. And we want to give everybody $10 off if you make the choice to join our community. And that gets credited to her work and increasing the ways that we compensate her for the work she's been doing on this podcast. There's the reality of it. We want to make sure that Anne-Marie is noticed and rewarded really well.
It's more about the podcast. I want to know what the podcast is.
But also Anne-Marie is the coolest.
So
right,
true.
Luke?
Oh, yes.
So
absolutely.
use the code podcast and get $10 off if you join the community.
Yeah.
And come and see what we're doing in there.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more people in there and more discussions. And we did something with the community that we should also update the listeners on. And that was spearheaded by Luke. We're merging. We're going to have a co-ed space. We're doing a mixer. Right, Luke?
Happens. Oh, yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yes. And we
Absolutely.
settled on the colored emojis. That was my big
That was the stumbling block.
Yeah, we can't wait to see new stories in there and see new supporters in there and new collaborators. You guys are actually doing really awesome in the community too. But yeah, we're excited for all of those big changes. And that's it, right?
That's it.
That's goodbye for now.
That's a wrap.
See you next week.
See ya.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast episode. We appreciate your support and would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you've made it this far, you're likely someone who is invested in the journey of being the other woman. We understand that this can be a difficult and complex experience, which is why we offer guided coaching to help you heal and move forward. We encourage you to explore the links in the episode description or visit theotherwomanandthewife.com/coaching to learn more about our exclusive coaching program and apply today. Thank you again for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.